My morning tea routine is always one of the highlights of my day. I love the mindful opportunity it presents to slow down and to prepare for the day ahead. I like to begin with boiling the water needed. It doesn't need to be exact, but the temperature of your water does matter. Steep your tea too hot and you risk burning the leaves. Too cold and you'll be left with a weak tasting cup. So once my kettle boiled, I let it sit for a few minutes while preparing the tea itself. On this day, I decided to make this delicious s'mores chai blend. Although I do often rotate between a number of different tea blends, typically in the morning, I do gravitate towards black loose leaf tea. So I got out my pot and began measuring out my tea. For most teas, the perfect leaf ratio is about 2.5 teaspoons or just under a tablespoon for every 16 ounces of water. So for this 32-ounce teapot, I used 2 spoonfuls. Then I just poured in my hot water and let it steep. And here's where I like to set a timer and to give my tea the time it needs to release all of the wonderful flavors and aromas. Depending on what type of tea you're drinking, the steep times will vary, but typically black teas do best with being steeped for 3 to 5 minutes. And around the 3-minute mark, I like to add any fixings to my tea. Depending on what blend I'm drinking, I'll often add either oat milk, maple syrup, or both to the tea. So I began with just adding a splash of maple syrup and then going in with a bit of oat milk. I opt for oat milk over regular milk, number one, because I'm lactose intolerant, but I also genuinely prefer the flavor. But then at this point, my tea is fully brewed and ready to enjoy, so I'll just remove the strainer. This is a really important step. It always hurts my soul a bit when people don't remove the strainer or tea bag, anything like that. It just makes your tea so bitter. And I like to give my tea a bit of a stir just to make sure that everything's well blended in there. Then I'll pop the lid back on and slowly pour the tea into my mug. That's really my process, and I find that using loose leaves, this method of preparing my tea, really does bring out the most exquisite flavors, regardless of the blend that I happen to be drinking. So I hope you enjoyed this little look into my tea routine. Now I'm going to enjoy this one, so I'll see you next time.